and welcome to the Building Better Leaders podcast. We are live on YouTube with our first guest. This is both super exciting and a little bit frightening. Welcome and thank you for being here with us. Today we are joined by the lovely Sian Platts. Sian is Head of HR at Mac Construction Consultants. And Sian, you are here to talk to us today about how we can help people start work well. So we're thinking about graduates, trainees and apprentices and all the pressure that goes for a head of HR with onboarding kind of quite large quantities of new starters into the world of work. How do we set them up well for success, and how do we support them from kind of month 3, 4 onwards so that they then thrive in work? Talk to us about Mac and where you are on that journey.
So Mac have around 17% of their workforce as trainees, graduates or apprentices. So that means that they come straight from school at 18. They can come from university, or they can enter the workplace having like a change of career. So we have identified over the last 12 months that although our trainees are technically really bright, they know their stuff, they know about surveying, they're working towards professional qualifications, we are receiving feedback at a management level and a senior level that they are lacking some of the human skills, often referred to as soft skills. And essentially that is restricting their ability to enhance their technical skills. And these aren't skills that are necessarily taught as like a module at university. They tend to be skills that you have developed through your school education or your family life. So the disparity amongst the trainees it can be quite great. And a lot of people think, well, why can't we teach them those skills? Why is it expected that somebody comes into the workplace and they should know all that? With everything else in life, with the technical skills, we go away and learn about it. So we're really excited to be working with both yourself and John to deliver this Aspiring Futures programme. And we think some of those skills that you are going to hopefully deliver, it will really benefit our trainees and essentially benefit the service to our clients as well.
Yeah, I think you've really hit the nail on the head when you talked about soft skills, because it's often referred to as soft skills, and these, as you've just quite rightly said, are like, they're not that easy to acquire. And I mean, as we've developed this program with you as well, we sort of felt that there was a piece missing from what we were offering as a training company, and I think that's sort of been exacerbated by the sort of the work around not always being in the office, this hybrid working, where you can't really see how to emulate those things, because you've got this like distance between where you are when you're sat at home than you are when you're in the office. Because we've sort of grown up in, I certainly have. I mean, I'm old relic now, but the things the things that you saw in the workplace when I started work, like really sort of make your hair stand on end, really. But we've had to develop this, haven't we, in terms of getting future ready for work. And it's great that people are coming to the business and they've got all the technical skills and all the rest of it. So much better if they can put it into practice.
Absolutely. Just building on that, though, I think we have to really thank you for this, is when you came to us, because we were talking about doing another leadership program, and you were like, actually, I've got this idea around trainees first. everything clicked for us, because we obviously work on our strategic leadership program with very senior leaders, and we're hearing things on that training program where they're like, Gen Z, I'm really struggling to get them back into the office. I'm telling them 4 times and it's not clicking. I don't know whether they're engaged or not. We've then got our Building Better Leaders program, where we have line managers on the course, and they're feeling the weight of this from HR, like that over responsibility of, I am responsible for my trainees, like that deep sense of responsibility, which, as you know from HR, leads to overwork, staying late, picking up pieces, burnout, sickness.
Yeah.
So we're starting to see how it all ladders. But what we are also seeing, and we run an Aspiring Leaders program on that, and you know, I do have to thank everybody that attended our Aspiring Leaders program. This is where we kind of work with 24 to like 27-year-olds. They were so vulnerable about the amount of anxiety that they feel coming into the workplace. And I think this is maybe something that our generation, we don't really, like, anxiety, we usually say, well, we're a bit worried about that. Whereas I think young people today really internalise this. They're much more in tune. They are more emotionally aware, probably more emotionally intelligent than us, but it means that they feel it heavier.
Yeah.
And I think we're feeling and seeing this, oh my God, like not sleeping all night because I sent an email and nobody replied, or I said something that was inappropriate and I kind of got told off for it, and then they're not coming into work the day after.
Yeah.
And, you know, we have to resist that temptation to be like, buckle up and, you know, just kind of crack on. It's that, you know, this really got us to stop and go, what did we wish we knew? Because it's not about us. They're a different generation in a different time. And you, I love this, like the first brief you were like, can you put it on TikTok? and I was like, right, I'm not quite sure your IT department would say that was the safest platform to put training material on. But it got us thinking, like, this needs to be a totally different learning experience. Not one that we wanted or we wish we had, but one that actually Gen Z have asked for. And I think that's what we have to thank you for, because you kind of brought that feedback to us. I mean, what went through your head when you were first thinking about what Gen Z need today?
I think I remember speaking to you about it, Rachel, quite an inspiring article on the future of training in a people management magazine this year. And training has been essentially stuck for quite a long time in videos, e-learning videos, even to the extent I would say if it was surveyed, probably 80-90% of companies out there, when somebody joins their organisation, they are expected to sit through 5, 6, 7 online videos. And as humans, we are beings of connection. And there is nothing, personally for me, I can't speak for everybody else, but there's nothing less engaging than sitting and watching an AI robot talk to you about a subject. I mean, psychologically, you perhaps don't engage in it because they're not real, they're not human. Appreciate not all training videos are delivered like that, but a huge proportion are. And the article that I read in People Management was saying the training sector's got to change. And as you mentioned, it needs to change in line with what the up-and-coming generation, essentially the COVID generation as well, that are coming into the workplace now, that had a huge chunk of their their educational career. It was very different. It was very isolating. Humans learn a lot from modelling, watching. As children, we are constantly watching our parents and modelling that behaviour. And that generation were not just taken out of the education sector, as in they weren't watching their teachers and their tutors, but then they were taken out of the work environment as well, and everything was done remotely. And I do think this has contributed hugely to the lack of skills. And going back to the comment that you said about anxiety, I see a lot of trainees and graduates and apprentices lacking resilience. And that's not a criticism. I think that resilience is lacking because they have missed those human, non-technical skills that are just so important to delivering to not just our clients, but working collaboratively as part of teams. And as I've mentioned kind of previously, why not teach it them? Why not tell them, try this, try that? It might make your it might make your role easier, less stressful. It might reduce your anxiety. And going a little bit back to what you said, John, about kind of going into the workplace and for the very first time, and obviously the workplace has changed significantly. But, you know, I remember going into a job after university and thinking to myself, oh my God, where do I put a date on a letter? Like basic kind of skills. I've been BCC'd in this email. I have been CC'd in this email. What does that mean? These are really important skills. How do you address an email? You know, do I need to respond back to that email, or how should I contribute to this group discussion? As you've mentioned, Rachel, when we were discussing the content of the Aspiring Futures programme, like, when is it correct that I speak out? So, as I often call it, business etiquette. Young people are, and not just young people, trainees are confused. They're confused, and that is, that's leading to a level of anxiety with delivering their technical knowledge and their technical services.
Yeah.
I think you're so right on this, and I think the observation you've made is really astute in that we also need to shift some of the shared responsibility of learning this stuff onto senior leaders, because I think there's this, pre-COVID world and then post-COVID world. And I think even though we've returned to the office now, people are still in meetings, online meetings all day, right? You've returned to the office. You might be working in a workplace where you're in 5 days a week, but you're in 5 hours of online meetings a day. This isn't the way that people worked in the world of work in 2014, in 2015, in 2016. 2017, 2018, you might have been on maybe 2 conference calls a day, 2 remote meetings a day. You wouldn't be on 5, 6. And I think this is where the role modelling is missing. They aren't able to learn it because they're not seeing it demonstrated repetition consistently. And therefore we need to stop and take responsibility and say, how can we teach them this such important insight and information in a way that expedites their learning and enhances their technical skills super quick.
Yeah.
There's a key point, I think, as well about the effect this has on team leader level.
Yeah, massive.
Where they don't have the time to be able to invest and help people with those human skills. And sometimes can't assimilate the fact that a younger generation is different and have had different experiences, like you say, coming into the workplace. Some people may have never been into the workplace since COVID, they were recruited in COVID, which was really difficult for onboarding people and for those people that were coming into the workplace. But we see this a lot, don't we, with the team leaders, is that I think this program will help that group of people bring them closer to the graduates and the school leavers.
And I think anybody who's a people manager will know this, but I'm not sure how widely it's appreciated that a lot of people managers are also having to do their own job, deliver on their own targets, as well as managing a team collaboratively beneath them. And it's tough. I had a friend recently who accepted a new role, and she said, I'm really excited because I don't have to manage people. And actually, I know this person quite well. I've known her for a very long time, and I was thinking to myself, but actually you would be a fantastic people manager. I can see you have, I've had conversations with her about her staff and her team, but she didn't want to do it anymore. Because actually as I suppose companies have to also address that. They have to look at that, and they have to think to themselves, okay, are we giving our line managers enough time and resources to bring on their team and to spend that time that they need to develop and coach? However, there are other solutions, and one of the solutions that Mac are looking at the moment is delivering this course with Scaffold, because it is hoped that it will not only benefit the trainees, but it will benefit the line managers as well.
Massively.
And so it's almost a little bit of a halfway solution. I'm really excited about this course. I am very excited about this course and receiving that feedback throughout the next 6 months. Well,
let's tell people about the course and what it comprises of, because it is video, it is online. But Aspiring Futures is not that online compliance training.
Yeah.
I remember when I started at Vodafone and British Airways, and you literally had to watch like 14 hours of compliance, and then you get to do a test after, watch this video, do a test, and you'd be like emailing people going, anybody got the order of these? Especially when you were on a deadline, and then you also had HR on your back going, you have not completed that training, you've got to complete all this training. And I'd be like, God, I don't even know if this is too much.
Happening that though, right?
Too much to share though. But I remember, honestly, at Vodafone, I had to be in this meeting and my boss went, grab the PA, get them to sit on your compliance training. Yeah. They did the compliance training for me, and I went to a meeting because it was just like, it just needs to get done, box ticked.
It's a box.
Yeah, I honestly...
Could I tell you anything that was told about sexual harassment, about email etiquette, data security? Not much.
I often have to engage new starters in doing this training. It's awful, really. The first 2 days of somebody joining a company, do you mind sitting through 5 hours of online training? And sometimes I engage the new starters by explaining the reasons why we are having to deliver the training.
Yeah.
It's about compliance, it's about standards, it's about health and safety, it's about keeping them safe. But could we do it better? Or could it be delivered better? Absolutely. And I think going back to that article I talked about in people management, it's, asking that question, why are we delivering this training? Because we want to achieve something out of it. We want to grow that person's knowledge. And I think the way that Scaffold, you've designed the Aspiring Futures training, it is flexible to the kind of the generation that are coming through that like watching videos, but it's a mixture of engaging, bringing that human connection into the training, and also it's not intense, and I think that's it's not asking somebody to kind of sit and absorb knowledge for long periods of time, which humans can't do anyway. As in, we've been proven, your engagement levels switch off after about 30 minutes. So I love the way that you have designed the course, where you are essentially framing the subject, explaining, and that's delivered via webinar, but it's delivered personally, as in it's a live webinar. It's only an hour. That's great. So you're not having anybody sat there thinking, oh, I've got to do this, I've got this deadline to meet. Yeah. Then they can go away in their own time and watch the training videos, which again are personable. They're essentially delivered live. So it's I think the way that you have designed it is it's the best way that it could have been designed, taking into account all the factors that we've got to consider.
It's totally blended. It's, the core training bits at 8, 50, 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
We call them like modules, but they're really learning bites
Yeah.
that you can watch them on your phone. That's how we've designed
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
It's really personal. There's also reflection questions in there, and then we give people one thing to do this week.
Yeah.
Like, just one. That's it.
Yeah.
Then we've got, like you say, the online webinars which are live, and that is an opportunity for those graduates and trainees to come and talk to the group in a coaching environment, not a teaching environment, but it's all structured around, we've watched this content, what are your questions around how that relates to your role? Or I'm stuck on this. There's some structure to it, but it's totally adaptable to what the Mac environment is.
Yeah.
And then obviously not every client will want this, but you have opted for this, is that finishing the programme with a 1-day in-person workshop. But we don't do that until 6 months after, which is when they've gone through these 8 modules, 4 interactive webinars, plus 2 kind of podcast style sessions, which are where we follow our fictional characters, Ava and Jay, and they're really career professionals, and we're just telling their story. So after they've consumed all that, we then bring them into, a 1-day environment. So then we've got something to build on.
Yeah.
I think the other thing as well, in addition to all of that, is how much people will get from peer-to-peer learning.
Oh, yeah.
The sharing of those experiences, because then they feel as if it's not just them. You're not on your own. There's so much value in peer-to-peer. What we'll be interested in as well is how can they demonstrate this in the workplace? Are they actually using it? And does that get recognised by team leaders? And are team leaders finding leading teams a bit easier, or they've got a structure that they can help guide people back into if they're straying a bit? So
I mean, we will be launching our personal development programme in April. That, interestingly, I appreciate this podcast isn't about this, but we're completely redesigning it to ensure that staff are engaged and that everybody has a roadmap. Everybody knows the direction that their career is going. So we will certainly, at the point of April next year, which will be it'll be slightly more than halfway. We will be speaking to all our people managers to kind of get that feedback on how they are practicing the techniques and what they have learned. And I suspect when the course is launched, the general feedback has been kind of extreme excitement. This is fantastic. This is brilliant. To a little bit of kind of nervousness, hesitating. Oh, why am I going on this course? What's this course about? But I think quietly those individuals that perhaps are more nervous and hesitant about the course, they'll be pleasantly surprised at just what they get from it. I know, I'm a good 25 years into my career now, but I know if I'd had an opportunity to go on a course like that at the start of my career from leaving university and education, I would have absolutely jumped at the chance, because going back to my the example of where do you put a date on the letter, because everybody's putting it in slightly different places. I think those skills would have. I mean, I learned. I had to go away and learn, but there were times where the stuff that wasn't taught to you, it created anxiety and massively. It reduced resilience and resilience is, I think, when it comes to employees and people and humans, it's one of those skills that you can't teach resilience, but you can teach the skills that help build resilience. And a resilient member of staff is often a calm and a considerate thinker. Does that make sense? I'm probably not articulating myself very well.
Absolutely, Sian. But that's why in the programme and every one of those learning bites, we encourage that reflection, the self-awareness, and building on that. I don't think it's ever too early to start building on that emotional intelligence layer.
Absolutely.
And that will in turn build resilience if they can just ask better questions, say when they need help, not hide or wait.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those kind of things. I think I just echo, I mean, I know this programme is not what we wished we'd had, but I can't help reflect on some of the modules, and I just think, gosh, if I'd have known some of this stuff, I would have been able to avoid probably a lot of embarrassment, a lot of social faux pas and boo-boos in that first 5 years. You know, my career was in advertising and media, and the booze culture was just like insane. I remember my very first week of work. It's a company that doesn't exist anymore, but you know, it owned MTV. I got so drunk at this work event that I got dropped off somewhere in Elephant and Castle because I'd thrown up in a taxi. And I just didn't know where I was. Like, just moved to London. And, like, luckily this random girl found me and made sure I got home safely. I've got no idea who she was.
Yeah.
But I was like, I just put myself in such a vulnerable position, like, not safe. How drunk I got. Like, luckily I left before I made a massive boo-boo. But, you know, if there'd have just been some rules around booze or some guidance. And again, that's prompted us to put booze in here, but also a lot of people don't drink now. So
absolutely.
It's more kind of,
I mean,
do they feel the odd
how does belonging look when people don't drink and some people do? But again, we've put all of that into one of the learning bites, so you'll have to tune in for that one.
No, and I think that'll be really helpful because obviously the surveying MAC as a company, we do a lot of networking events, and it's fantastic experience for us to give our graduates and our trainees the opportunity to come along to those. But essentially they are socialising with not just potential future clients, but existing clients as well, and knowing how to have that balance of being able to enjoy the evening or the day, if it's a daytime event, and it to be effective for work and building client relationships, but also know the boundaries as well. And perhaps, again, some of the things hopefully, Rachel, and you'll cover as part of your training is what are those boundaries that you can put in. I mean, even if there's just a couple of things, hopefully our graduates and trainees and apprentices can go to these networking events and they'll be thinking in the back of the head, actually, Rachel and John covered this in the training. I'm going to practice this boundary.
I love that you said boundaries there, because we've been really careful to not say rules, you know, because 2 drinks to some people's too much, 2 drinks to somebody else not even warmed up. Like, it's not rules hard and fast, it's a discussion around boundaries. What's healthy, what do you need, and thinking about your own personal boundaries, and just taking some time to not let that event happen to you, but to go in with intention. And you'll network better, you'll be more successful, and most importantly, you'll feel better about yourself the day after. And I'm not just talking about a hangover. We've all been there.
Yeah, we have.
Unfortunately.
But it encourages people to think about the bigger picture as well.
Yeah.
You know, what's the culture at MAC?
Reading the room, which you mentioned earlier. What, you know, who is this client? What is the culture of the, you know, it's reading the room and reading your audience. And there's a degree to which a lot of that is developed through experience, which, as I always say, and people that have worked with me closely will know that I love this phrase, that experience is intrinsic to time. And it's really hard when you've gone through an education system where you've done your GCSEs within 2 years, your A-levels within 2 years, your degree within 3 or 4 years, and then you go into the workplace and you're like, oh my gosh, this is it for 40 years. And I need goals to work towards, and I need to get to this level by this. But actually, experiences, putting yourselves into differing situations, that is building essentially your experience portfolio, and experience is how we learn. We try and test different methods. Actually, I tried this boundary this time. That didn't quite work, so I might need another boundary next time. Or, we're all human at the end of the day, and we learn through mistakes. But actually, this course that you're going to provide will hopefully, it'll help that experience journey, as I call it, perhaps develop and roll out a lot more smoothly, because it'll give you that base, that base platform of different ways, methods, techniques to try in different situations. So
just before we wrap up, I just wanted to close the loop on something that people might be thinking about in the context of Mac. You mentioned that you've got 17% of your workplace population is early career. Just give us an idea of what that looks like in numbers.
Actually, I might have to correct myself here. It might not be 17%. So
it's not GCSE maths.
Yeah,
it's fine.
All right.
Just a rough number's fine.
Numbers have never been my strong point, but so we have around 17 apprentices and trainees. Obviously, that number fluctuates, so not 17%. I apologise.
Right.
But as a company, our headcounts fluctuates between about 110 and 120, but we heavily have and intentionally developed in we have intentionally brought talent in to develop them for lots of reasons that I could go over, but I won't bore you. But it is a large, you think some companies, some SMEs, small to medium size enterprises, they might bring one or two graduates in a year, or one apprentice in a year. Some years they might not take any. Mac certainly haven't taken that approach. We want, we want to develop our talent internally, and produce the best surveyors and construction consultants that we can, and we think the best way to do that is in-house.
No,
so as well as building up obviously relationships with our kind of educational partners that support us in developing the technical skills. So this course is continuing our investment,
and we are very, very excited about it. I'm going to properly put you on the spot now, and we've not warned you, so apologies for this. But we like to end every one of our podcasts by asking our guest to share 3 leadership essentials. So that's 3 things that you've picked up in your career that have really helped you. So it might be like 3 leadership habits, or 3 things that you like to remember. So what are your leadership essentials, Sian Platts?
I can't believe you've not pre-warned me of this question.
I'm so sorry.
Emotional intelligence. I know that's a very cliched answer to give, but having a good working relationship with the people that you're effectively leading it's incredibly important for retaining and engaging them. We always remember, I like to give a little example, we always remember that teacher at school.
Yeah.
We always remember that teacher that we were really motivated to do the best in our homework for. We were really motivated to get the best grades for our GCSEs because we liked them.
Yeah.
I think as a leader, you have got to, I'd say liked is probably professionally not the right word, but your job is to enable your staff to listen to you and communicate with them effectively. And to do that, you've got to be emotionally intelligent. So you've got to be able to, I appreciate a leader with 300 staff might find it very difficult on a level to be personally that involved with everybody. But then his job is then to lead the next level of leaders with those same techniques. I think a good leader should also manage expectations as well. Clear expectations is important, because everybody needs to fully understand what route they're taking to deliver the results. And managing expectations is one of those things where, on a small level, it's coming out of a meeting and saying, okay, we've just had a discussion for an hour, but these are my expectations of you going away. And this is what I want. These are the deadlines. So a good leader will manage the expectations of those that they deliver. And I think communication from a bigger picture, working in HR, one of the perhaps most common grumblings from employees of leadership teams is they don't know what's going on. What's the bigger picture? How's the company performing? Where are we going? Have we got any big jobs? And actually, in Mac, one of the things that is fantastic is all our offices have a monthly meeting that's run by a director. So every month you've got a senior member of staff that's communicating what's going on in the business. What, have we won a new job? Have we got a new client? What's important? What's our priority? So keeping that communication regular, but ensuring that it happens. Like an annual email out to all staff is not enough to keep people engaged. So emotional intelligence, managing expectations, and I would say effective communication, elaborated after each one.
You see, you can tell that they've come from the workplace. You can tell that they're from born out of experience. I think you've done really well there, because it's not easy. We would always ordinarily
apologies. We would
give you the cue, but we didn't, and I think you've done very well.
I was going to say, I've not given you a textbook answer.
No,
No.
and that's really important, because that's real life.
Absolutely. I'm sure there's some academics out there who train in leadership that would have said, you need to use different words to that, Sian. But as long as I got the point across, that's all that matters, isn't it?
Fabulous.
Absolutely love it. Thank you so much for joining us, Sian, and thank you so much for trusting us to deliver the Aspiring Futures programme for Mac Construction Consultants. We are incredibly excited. Thank you for sharing your insight and your wisdom with us in building the programme. And then hopefully we'll have you back when we've got some results to share.
I was going to say thank you both as well. No pressure.
You're very welcome. And if anybody wants to find out more about the Aspiring Futures programme brought to you by Scaffold Coaching, you can find out all that information on our website, which is scaffoldcoaching.com. Sian, thanks again.
Thank you.